It's time to let it go, and this time, forever. The love you shared will always be a part of you. It shaped you, it taught you, and it mattered. But holding on to the pain, to the emptiness they left behind, isn't bringing them back. It's keeping you stuck in a place where you can't move forward. And I know you want to. I know you want to feel free again, to feel light. Losing someone you love doesn't just leave an empty space. It leaves echoes, memories tied to places, to moments, to sensations. But here's the truth. Your senses, the way you experience the world through taste, touch, sight, hearing, and smell, can also be your way out. They can be your quiet companions, gently guiding you back to yourself, back to peace. This is the 5 senses of release. Let's begin with taste, something so simple, yet deeply grounding. When was the last time you truly savored something? I'm not talking about mindlessly eating a meal while lost in thought, but tasting, really tasting, something comforting. A piece of chocolate melting on your tongue, the warm, soothing embrace of tea or coffee. In these small moments, taste has the power to anchor you in the present, pulling you away from the endless replay of the past. When your mind feels too heavy, find a flavor that brings comfort and let it remind you of the here and now. Then there is touch, one of the most immediate ways to reconnect with yourself. Feel the softness of a blanket wrapped around your shoulders. Let your hand rest over your heart and feel its steady rhythm. You're alive. You're here. Even the smallest sensation, the texture of fabric, the coolness of water, the warmth of sunlight on your skin, can remind you that there's a world outside your pain. Reach for it. Feel it. Let it ground you when everything else feels unsteady. Sight is where beauty can begin to shift your perspective. I know it's hard to see clearly when you're hurting. The world feels dimmed, colored by your grief. But even now, there are quiet moments of beauty waiting for you to notice them. The golden light of sunrise spilling through your window, the gentle movement of trees swaying in the wind. Let your eyes rest on these details, not to distract you, but to show you that life still holds wonder, even in the smallest things. Hearing has the power to soothe and to heal. Close your eyes and listen. Maybe it's a song that feels like home, or the soft rustling of leaves outside. Maybe it's the sound of your own breathing, steady and calm. Let sound be a guide, drawing you out of your thoughts and back into the world around you. And finally, there is smell, the most direct connection to memory and emotion. A familiar scent, lavender, fresh rain, your favorite candle, can unlock something deep inside you. But it can also help you release. Light that candle. Breathe deeply. Let the scent fill you, gently loosening the hold of the past. Your 5 senses are more than just ways of experiencing the world. They are tools, lifelines, invitations to let go. You don't have to force yourself to move on. Instead, return to these moments, these sensations, and let them guide you back to yourself. Piece by piece, they will help you release what no longer serves you and remind you of the life that still waits ahead. Pain has a way of making the world feel small. It traps you in a single perspective where the same memories and emotions replay endlessly. You begin to believe there's no way out, no other way to see what you're going through. But the elevator mind, shifting perspectives, shows us that our minds are capable of so much more. By shifting the way you view your situation, even slightly, you can begin to feel lighter. Think of your mind as an elevator. Each floor represents a different perspective, a new way of understanding what you're experiencing. Right now, you might feel stuck on a floor of heartbreak or regret. It's heavy, familiar, and hard to leave. But the first step to change is awareness. Recognize where you are and ask yourself, do I want to stay here, or am I ready to move? This moment of awareness is your chance to press the button and rise. As the elevator moves, your view begins to expand. The pain that felt so overwhelming on the ground floor doesn't disappear, but it becomes smaller as you rise. From a higher floor, you might begin to see your pain as part of a larger picture. Perhaps you notice the strength you've developed through this experience, or you feel gratitude for the lessons it has taught you. Gratitude doesn't erase what you've been through, but it adds depth and meaning to the journey. Some floors will feel harder to step onto than others. The floor of forgiveness might ask you to release anger or guilt that you've held onto for a long time. The floor of possibility might feel distant if hope feels out of reach. But every step upward is a reminder that you're not confined to one perspective. Movement itself, even when it's difficult, is an act of reclaiming your power. Each floor offers something new. On one floor, you may find clarity, a moment of understanding about what's been holding you back. On another, you might discover peace, even if just for a moment. The key is to allow yourself to move, to explore, to realize that the way you see your pain today doesn't have to be the way you see it tomorrow. The mind's elevator is always in motion, and you hold the controls. Each button you press, each floor you visit, is a choice to see the world differently. You are not your pain. You are so much more. Sometimes it feels like you're living the same day over and over again, stuck in a cycle you can't escape. You try to move forward, but no matter how much effort you put in, the same emotions, thoughts, and reactions pull you back. This is the repetition loop, a pattern that keeps you anchored in the past. But to break free, you first need to see it clearly for what it is. Repetition loops often begin with triggers, moments that spark the same familiar feelings. Maybe it's a certain song, a scent, or a phrase someone says. These small moments can pull you back into the same emotional spiral, replaying old wounds or regrets. Recognizing these triggers is the first step to interrupting the cycle. Pay attention to the things that set off familiar patterns of thought or behavior. By naming them, you create the space to respond differently. Your body often senses the loop before your mind does. Notice how your body feels when the cycle begins. Maybe your chest tightens, your stomach drops, or you feel your shoulders tense. These physical sensations are clues, signs that you're slipping into the same reaction again. When you notice them, pause, take a deep breath, acknowledge what you're feeling without judgment. That moment of awareness is powerful. It's your chance to step outside the automatic response and choose something different. Repetition thrives on unawareness. It thrives when you're running on autopilot, reacting to things without realizing you're in a pattern. To disrupt this, try grounding yourself in the present. Focus on your immediate surroundings. Feel the texture of something near you, notice the sounds around you, or pay attention to your breath. These simple actions can help pull you out of the loop and into the moment, where you have more control. Another way to weaken the repetition loop is by questioning the stories it tells you. These loops often come with narratives like, "This is how it's always been," or "I'll never get past this." These thoughts feel real, but are they true? Challenge them. Ask yourself if these beliefs are facts or just habits of thinking you've carried for too long. Rewriting these stories is an act of reclaiming your freedom. Breaking a repetition loop isn't about forcing yourself to feel differently overnight. It's about noticing the patterns, understanding what fuels them, and choosing to act differently, even in small ways. Each time you disrupt the cycle, you take a step closer to freedom. These steps, no matter how small, add up, creating space for healing and growth. The loop may be persistent, but you are stronger than its pull. Emotions can sometimes feel like a woven fabric that's been stretched, torn, or tangled. The threads, each representing a feeling, pull in different directions, creating tension and leaving you unsure where to begin. But emotions, like fabric, can be repaired with patience and care. The weaver's craft is about reworking those threads, gently untangling what feels knotted and finding a way to weave something whole again. Start by noticing where the fabric feels most strained. Just as a weaver inspects a piece for loose threads or worn edges, you can take a moment to recognize what emotion feels the most pressing. Maybe it's sadness that feels like a heavy weight on your chest, or frustration that snaps at the edges of your thoughts. Identifying the thread that needs attention gives you a starting point to begin your work. Once you've found the thread, the next step is to work it loose without forcing it. A weaver doesn't pull on a tangled thread abruptly. They gently coax it free, one strand at a time. Similarly, emotions don't respond well to being rushed or ignored. Allow yourself to feel them without judgment. Perhaps this means speaking your feelings aloud in a private space, or letting your thoughts flow freely onto paper. These acts allow the emotions to loosen their grip naturally, giving you the space to work with them. Some threads are intertwined with others, making it hard to separate one feeling from another. Anger might be laced with guilt, or sadness might be tied to longing. These layers take time to uncover. Ask yourself, what's beneath this feeling? Like a skilled weaver untangling a complex pattern, you can approach these layers with curiosity and care, slowly unraveling the connections. Having the right tools makes all the difference. A weaver uses needles, looms, and thread to repair their work, and you can lean on tools to manage your emotions. Grounding exercises, like focusing on the feel of something soft in your hand, can bring you back to the present. Speaking with a friend or loved one can provide a supportive framework, helping you process what feels overwhelming. As you rework the threads of your emotions, remember that the process takes time. Some knots will loosen quickly, while others require repeated effort. With each small adjustment, the tension begins to ease and the fabric becomes smoother. You don't need to repair everything at once. By approaching your emotions with the precision and patience of a weaver, you can rework even the most tangled patterns into something strong, flexible, and ready to support you once again. After the delicate process of unraveling your emotions, you might find your thoughts still feel tangled, as if the weight of everything hasn't quite lifted. This is where concrete steps to simplify the mind becomes essential. Sometimes, clearing emotional clutter requires practical, grounded actions, steps that make the overwhelming feel manageable and bring clarity to your inner world. Simplifying begins with your physical space. The state of your surroundings often mirrors the chaos inside your mind. A messy table, a cluttered closet, or even a disorganized phone can create a sense of unease you might not even notice. Start small. Choose a single drawer, shelf, or corner of your room. Clearing and reorganizing this space can bring surprising relief, as if your mind also breathes easier when your surroundings are in order. Your daily routines might also be contributing to mental clutter. Habits that once served you might now feel draining or unnecessary. Ask yourself, where can I cut back? Maybe there's a task you've been doing out of obligation or a habit that no longer brings value to your life. By letting go of one small commitment, you make space for something that truly matters. Simplifying your day isn't about doing less. It's about doing what's meaningful. Digital clutter is another weight on the mind. Notifications, emails, and endless scrolling scatter your focus and steal your mental energy. One concrete step is to create boundaries. Turn off notifications for non-essential apps, or designate specific times for checking messages and emails. Even reducing screen time by a small amount each day can create pockets of quiet that help your mind recharge. Mindfulness practices are another powerful tool for creating simplicity. You don't need to meditate for hours. Even a few intentional moments can bring clarity. Try taking a slow, mindful walk, focusing on the sensation of each step. Or spend time in silence, letting your thoughts settle like leaves drifting to the ground. These small rituals can act as anchors, pulling you away from the rush of the world and back into the calm of the present moment. Lastly, consider the thoughts swirling in your head. Worries, plans, and unspoken feelings often pile up, leaving no room for focus. Writing down your thoughts can be transformative. Whether it's a journal entry or a quick list, the act of putting your thoughts on paper clears space in your mind. You don't have to fix everything. Sometimes, letting the words rest outside yourself is enough. Simplifying the mind isn't about erasing complexity. It's about giving yourself the freedom to think and feel with ease. These small concrete steps offer a path to clarity, helping you find balance in both your inner and outer worlds. Regret often settles quietly, like a heavy blanket draped over your shoulders. At first it feels manageable, but over time it grows heavier, pressing down with the weight of everything you wish you could change. It doesn't ask permission to stay. It lingers in your mind and heart, weaving itself into your thoughts. Releasing this weight isn't easy, but it begins with understanding how it holds you. Regret thrives in the spaces where self-criticism lives. It replays old mistakes, filling your mind with if only and what if, until it becomes hard to think of anything else. You might find yourself revisiting conversations or actions, imagining all the ways you could have done better. But this mental repetition keeps the weight in place. Instead of fighting against it, try acknowledging the regret when it arises. Naming it aloud or in writing can soften its hold and give you a clearer view of what it truly represents. The weight of regret often feels tied to a longing for perfection, the idea that you should have acted differently or that a single decision could have changed everything. But life doesn't follow perfect plans. Mistakes, missteps, and imperfections are inevitable. Reflecting on this can shift how you see regret. Instead of focusing on what you got wrong, ask yourself what you learned. Perhaps the experience revealed your resilience or helped you better understand your needs and boundaries. These insights don't erase the past, but they can make the weight feel lighter. Sometimes regret lingers because it hasn't been expressed. Holding it inside gives it room to grow. Write a letter to yourself or to the person involved, even if you never send it. Pour out your feelings honestly. The pain, the disappointment, even the anger. Let the words be messy. By giving the regret a voice, you begin to release its silence and take away some of its power. Physical rituals can also help ease the burden of regret. Light a candle and let it burn as a reminder of release. Write your regret on a piece of paper and tear it into small pieces. These acts are symbolic, but they give you something tangible to focus on, a way to connect your emotions to action. Regret doesn't disappear overnight, but it doesn't have to control you. Each small step to name it, soften its grip, and honor its lessons brings you closer to freedom. As the blanket begins to lift, you'll feel the first signs of lightness, a space opening within you for something new. After the weight of regret begins to lift, you might notice something unexpected, a feeling of uncertainty about where to go next. Letting go creates space, but filling that space can feel overwhelming. The map of micro-decisions shows how small, deliberate choices can become the foundation for transformation, guiding you forward one step at a time. Every decision you make, no matter how small, is like a point on a map. Together, these points connect to form a path. Imagine the first decision of your day, how you greet yourself when you wake up. Do you choose kindness, or do you let self-criticism take the lead? Choosing a single positive thought in that moment might seem insignificant, but it sets the tone for everything that follows. Some choices feel so small, they go unnoticed, like deciding whether to pause for a moment of stillness or rush through your day. These micro-decisions accumulate, shaping the rhythm of your life. Try bringing attention to these moments. When you notice yourself overwhelmed, pause and ask, what's one small thing I can do right now to create ease? Even something as simple as taking a deep breath or organizing your workspace can shift your mindset. Not all micro decisions are about action. Many are about perspective. When faced with a challenge, you can choose to see it as an obstacle or an opportunity to learn. This doesn't mean forcing positivity. It's about finding the option that empowers you. For example, when a difficult memory surfaces, instead of pushing it away, you might choose to acknowledge it gently and let it pass without judgment. Each time you make this choice, you strengthen your ability to move forward. Over time, micro-decisions build momentum. A small choice to spend 5 minutes journaling might lead to a greater sense of clarity. Choosing to take a short walk might spark energy and creativity that carries into the rest of your day. These small steps create ripples, reminding you that progress doesn't require grand gestures. Sometimes the hardest part is trusting that these small choices matter. It's easy to dismiss them, thinking they're too insignificant to create real change. But a map is drawn one point at a time, and each mark shapes the journey. By focusing on what you can do in this moment, you reclaim your sense of direction. The path forward isn't built in leaps, it's constructed through mindful, intentional decisions. These micro-decisions may seem small, but they're the foundation of something much larger, the life you want to create. As you follow the small, deliberate steps of micro-decisions, you may begin to notice what still lingers in your mind. A build-up of old memories, like a crowded shed stuffed with items you no longer use. Some of these memories are precious, worth preserving, while others are broken remnants of the past that no longer serve you. The shed of old memories is about opening that door, sorting through what's inside, and gently deciding what to let go of and what to keep. When you open the door to an old shed, it can feel overwhelming. Dust covers everything, and it's hard to know where to start. Memories are much the same. They sit in the corners of your mind, tied to objects, places, or even familiar scents, waiting for you to revisit them. Start by pulling one out, just as you would an old box. What feelings does it bring? Is it something you want to hold on to, or does it weigh you down? Some memories carry deep emotional ties, making them hard to let go of. Perhaps it's a moment that still stings, or one tied to a person you've lost. These memories don't need to be discarded immediately. They deserve acknowledgement. Sit with them for a moment. Feel what they bring up without judgment. By giving these memories the attention they seek, you release the energy they've been holding in your mind. Other memories may seem less significant, but still take up space. These might be tied to past mistakes or habits that no longer define you. Like clearing out a box of old clothes you no longer wear, you can gently decide to let these go. Writing them down and then physically discarding the paper can create a symbolic release, a way of saying, "This no longer belongs here." The act of sorting isn't about erasing the past, it's about creating clarity. Just as a clean shed offers space for new tools and ideas, clearing old memories allows room for new experiences. Imagine finding a forgotten treasure in the process, a moment you tucked away that reminds you of your strength or joy. These are the memories worth preserving, the ones that add value to your life. Every item in the shed doesn't need to be addressed at once. You can return to it when you're ready, taking the process one step at a time. Each moment of sorting, whether it's keeping or letting go, creates more space for the present, making room for what's ahead. As you clear away the old, whether it's memories, patterns, or emotions, a natural question arises. What comes next? After sorting through what no longer serves you, there is something profound about the emptiness that remains. The space to breathe. Creating room for the new is about honoring that openness and welcoming the possibilities it holds. This is where growth begins. When life feels crowded, it's hard to see the opportunities around you. Imagine a house filled with clutter. Even if a beautiful gift arrives, there's no space for it. Your inner world works the same way. With each piece you've let go of, you've created a little more room. That openness allows something new to take shape, a sense of calm, a budding idea, or the beginning of a new relationship with yourself or others. But creating space isn't just about what you remove, it's also about how you protect and nurture that space. Think of it as a garden. Once the weeds are cleared, the soil needs care before anything can grow. This could mean setting boundaries around your time or energy, making conscious decisions about what you allow into your life. It's not about isolation, it's about choosing what nurtures you and letting that choice guide you forward. Breathing room doesn't have to mean dramatic changes. Small rituals can create moments of openness in your day. Pause and focus on the rhythm of your breath for just a minute. Notice the quiet between each inhale and exhale. These brief pauses can remind you of the freedom that comes from clearing away the noise. It's not just about what you've released, it's about the space you've reclaimed. Newness often feels uncomfortable at first. A clear, open room can feel strangely empty after years of being filled. But emptiness is fertile ground. When you allow yourself to sit in that openness, without rushing to fill it, ideas and clarity begin to emerge naturally. It's in these quiet spaces that creativity and healing thrive. Room for the new also means welcoming what surprises you. The unexpected joy of reconnecting with an old hobby, the chance encounter with someone who inspires you, or simply the sense of lightness you feel waking up one morning. These moments don't come from forcing change, but from allowing the new to find its way into your life. By creating space to breathe, you've given yourself a gift, the freedom to embrace what comes next. This isn't about rushing or planning, it's about letting the open space guide you towards something meaningful. If this video brought you clarity or helped you in any way, join our community by subscribing and being part of this journey of transformation. And if you enjoyed the content and want to support even more, consider leaving a super thanks. Your engagement makes all the difference as we continue to grow together.